2. Welcome back, WNST, Towson, Baltimore, and WNST.net. It was a lovely way to start the week. Covington, Kentucky wake-up call amidst more fast food restaurants than I have ever seen and more chili than I could ever want. I did dig a little Waffle House over there prior to the game. I made the incredible mistake of walking across that blue bridge. I am not a bridge walker. It is the last bridge I will ever cross with a 40-pound backpack across my bridge, and I proceeded to clearly lose my mind before the game when I saw this guy. Paul Dehner Jr. is a senior writer and podcast host covering, sadly, the Cincinnati Bengals. And he does all that for The Athletic and more. He is trying to figure out interesting ways to cover an 0-9 football team. Paul, do you want to tell the story about how I embarrassed myself, or should I tell it on myself? I have a feeling it'll be more humorous if you offer it.
I just thought it was kind of nice how you thought maybe there was going to be a competitive game on our hands on Sunday before the game as you came up. And so, I thought it was earnest. It was, this could be, there's tough games here, and
I was sincere.
Myself,
I was literally sincere.
The Bengals all year could tell you, that's not going to be the case.
Dude, you guys looked at me like you would have bet any amount of money in the world that it was going to look the way it looked. I mean, I did not have you on last week. I know there's not a lot of optimism. My optimism was, I think at some point the Ravens are going to kick the ball around a little bit, and it's going to happen on the road in a place like, you know what I mean? Like if they kick the ball around in L.A. 2 weeks from now, they will lose, right? It felt to me like the kind of game they could kick the ball around, play sloppy, and find themselves in some crazy 23-17 game late. And because that's just like the way it goes in this league. You don't go and beat teams like that 59-10 and then 49-13 every week, and they struggled a month ago. And I just thought, this is me at 12:15 yesterday. I'm trying to justify what can't be justified, which is, boy, the Bengals they really do stink, dude. And by the way, Lamar Jackson's pretty good, right?
Lamar Jackson's very good. I mean, and that was real. It made it worse for already sort of beaten down, beleaguered Bengals fan guy, because not only are they watching this junkyard take place every Sunday in front of them, but then Lamar Jackson, they could have drafted, and instead they took Billy Price, who got unseated as center and is playing out of position at guard right now, and not necessarily that well. And to watch Lamar Jackson do it to him, while they watch Billy Price, go out there and scuffle as well, it rubs it in even more of sort of what could have been. Although there's every single team in the league wondering what could have been that let Lamar Jackson go past them a couple of years ago. So he's a special player. I don't know that he would be doing this many other places, because Baltimore was really, to me, the perfect home for him, to have a coach that would embrace him, his style, set everything up to fit him, and let him do it the way he's doing it. It was certainly special to watch when you combine a bad Bengals defense and a truly electric player like Lamar Jackson. You get something like the 47-yard run that we saw yesterday.
Paul Dehner Jr. has been covering the Bengals through the good times, the bad times, the in-between times, and now back to this at this point. You can follow him out on Twitter as well for all things Bengals. They will continue to be part of our lives as they play the Pittsburgh Steelers and the New England Patriots and other teams down the line as well. I guess the interesting thing to watch from afar from where you are, and I did get in an Uber in Covington on Monday. I did have Bengal fan drive me to the Covington airport. Had no idea who I was or what I did, but did offer we were quick to run Marvin out of here. You see how that worked out? And I didn't even get into a football conversation at all with the dude. But there is a part of this is like, had Marvin or Duke or Zach or anybody come in there and said to Mike Brown or even to any ownership not named Bisciotti, I'm gonna bring in a guy, we're gonna revolutionize the game, and we're gonna have a running quarterback, and that's gonna go well, and we're gonna build everything around. I mean, Come on, man. You cover the league like I covered. You go out to these Indianapolis combines and at the owners' meetings and all this stuff. Imagine going in and trying to sell that, right? Like whether you're the college scouting director who believes in him or the pro personnel director who believes there's this analytic advantage to running the football. Dude, what's going on here really is revolutionary. We all sort of laughed at Harbaugh because he called it revolutionary, like it was Che Guevara and Fidel coming out of the hills or something. And now they're doing it. No one else is really doing it. We're going to see Houston sort of kind of do it a little bit. Maybe they don't really want to do it that way. They want to do it the more traditional way, right? I don't know that anybody's coming into this and saying you're doing it wrong, right? I mean, nobody's trying to make Lamar Jackson something he's not anymore. And I think that thinking that 18 months ago would have been the thinking for every person who covers the league or has a vested interest in the league to look at this with sort of the stink eye, right? And I've been on the phone with everybody for a year and a half looking at this with the stink eye from the outside. Then there's still he might get hurt. I mean, that's maybe all you got left at this point, right?
Well, I mean, yeah, he might get hurt if anybody ever actually gets a hit on him. I mean, when you're as elusive as he is and as conscientious as he is, it's hard to inflict any real shot on a guy. And, it's a tribute to Lamar. I mean, let's not act like you're going to get a bunch of guys out there. Oh, you just run with your quarterback and it'll look like that. No, this guy's a freak. I mean, you can't handle him the way you can any other running quarterback in this league or anybody that we've really seen in this league, not named Vic. And, it's like, most of the times you say, okay, well, defense is going to come in, you're going to put a spy on him, and that'll, shut that down. Except that's the worst thing you could do against Lamar Jackson because there's no linebacker in the league, not Bobby Wagner, not anybody else, that can chase down this guy, and it actually ruins your plan. And that's how he's changed the game, is that you can't handle him the way that most defenses handle quarterbacks that can kill you with their legs. You just can't, and the way that they bring it, we talked to guys in the locker room after the game, and they were honestly just in kind of marvel of what they saw. And Sean Williams, Bengals safety, said he's got my MVP vote. He's the MVP. He's the best I've seen all year, and this is a guy who's seen Russell Wilson and the whole lot. And it's just there was a sense of they don't know how do you stop it, and they don't think anybody knows how to stop it right now. There's so many weapons and so many different things they can do off of it that it has the league pretty shook right now, and it'll be interesting to see what happens between now and the teams that show up in the playoffs to play the Ravens, and if anybody can come up with a plan that can slow it down.
How about 3 Heisman Trophy winners, Paul? Put that out there and go figure that out, right?
Yeah, because you know what comes next. Now they ran with it. Now you're going to get the pitch and then the pullback and the throw, right? I mean, that's what comes next when you start doing stuff like that. It's fun. I mean, that's fun. That is the stuff that you do in long seasons to keep it fun, to not let it get monotonous, and winning helps. But you need more stuff. More teams need to be doing more stuff like that. And you do see it more, I think, now than you did in the past, to keep things fresh, to keep guys engaged. And stuff like that's great. It's not like that's some big effective thing that's going to blow the lid off of everything. But it's fun. Guys love it. And you can talk about it. You can call it the Heisman package, and it can be a cool thing. And, I applaud everything that Baltimore is doing. Can I give a shout-out again to my guy, James Urban, who is an incredible and just ridiculously underrated coach in this league. And when the Bengals lost him, after he coached up Marvin Jones and Mohamed Sanu and A.J. Green here, all the huge contracts, and the Bengals lost him, it was a huge loss. And John Harbaugh knew it, and he quickly picked him up. And that's a part of it, along with everything else, in helping take Lamar Jackson, that offense, to the next level. I think James Irvin is one of the truly, truly great coaches that is underappreciated in this league, and I think he's got a future OC written all over him.
Love having on the smart guys. This guy covers the Cincinnati Bengals for The Athletic. You can follow him at Paul Dehner Jr., DEHNERJR, out on Twitter. I want to take this even deeper than Urban and Harbaugh, who, obviously you think the world of them because all they do is win football games and keep their job. This time last year, Harbaugh was playing with the magnetic Navy offense, right? And, with this kid nobody wanted, and Flacco's on the pine, and now he's playing for his job. And the heat's on, and Miami and Green Bay are going to be calling with big contracts, and maybe Steve's done with him, and maybe he and DeCosta aren't simpatico. All of that stuff was 52 weeks ago, right? And you talk about the deftness of coaching and being able to scheme things up and what Greg Roman has done. I said early in the game, I tweeted, it was like the song Red Barchetta, the Rush song. Like, he was just taking this thing out for a Sunday ride on the Ohio River like a cigarette boat or something, right? But the coaching part of it, the personnel part of it. But how about Eric DeCosta, who since the last time we got together and almost lost, has plugged in Josh Bynes, LJ Ford, fortified a contract, dealt for Marcus Peters, watching Tony Jefferson walk around on crutches. And look, I wanted to have you on last week, but this is where Mike Brown is really, really a deficiency, right? This is where, when you're still playing 1968 football, that you're not making deals at the trading deadline. You're not dealing off the Andy Daltons to get your third round for whatever you're going to get. I mean, the Ravens got a third round draft pick for Joe Flacco. They always turn those things into nice things, but your organization's a little backward, and obviously the Cleveland thing's a little backward, and that really plays into the strength of the Steelers and the Ravens being so freaking good, right?
Yeah, I mean, when was Joe Flacco traded? What time? He was in. When was that last year?
That
April?
happened really early. It was agreed to before you could even tamper or whatever. It was
right.
Very early on.
That's the same thing's going to happen with Andy Dalton. I mean, there wasn't some benchmark that was missed. Andy Dalton's still under contract. They can tag AJ Green. He will still be under contract. You could trade him. Geno Atkins still under contract. Carlos Dunlap still under contract. All of these guys are guys that I think you certainly could see traded, Drake or Patrick, or cut. This roster is going to get gutted, and I do think that you will see a lot of trades. You will see deals from them. They just didn't want to. They care about trying to win games the rest of the year, and want to have guys on this team that can help them do that. And they're more than interested in trading a whole lot of them from this offseason. But for now, they find value in trying to win games. And unless someone was going to come in and blow them away, which is what you saw in a lot of those deals, right? A lot of the deals that were made were overpays, or what you would view as overpays by teams as far as the pick evaluation goes. I mean, Mohamed Sanu for a 2, Emmanuel Sanders for a 3 and a 4. I mean, these are big prices. And
the Minkah Fitzpatrick trade's going to at least get the Steelers into the playoffs. I don't know how,
Minkah Fitzpatrick for a 1. I mean, for the Steelers, 1. The point is that unless you're coming like that, these deals are not getting done as much in season. Now, what will happen in the off season? Will come to tell. The Bengals organization is clearly not ever going to be called anything resembling progressive. They're not going to be wheelers and dealers. They're going to play it more conservative and try to draft and develop. That doesn't mean in this particular case that they are not still going to be doing all these things that you're talking about turning older players on the roster into draft picks and what have you. I actually still think that is a big part of what we're going to see. I think this coaching staff in its first year, as maligned as it has been, will get another shot to come back, and this organization has no choice but to completely gut the roster, and particularly all the guys who are making too much money and are too old and all that type of stuff. I do think that's coming. I don't think they necessarily missed the boat at the deadline on that.
What's the upside of 2-14 here in the third pick versus the sweepstakes of the quarterback of your choice. I mean, I openly heard many Bengals fans talking about, hey, I hope we lose them all. Like, literally, I don't know what the benefit. I know the Brown family thinks differently. Mr. Angelos felt differently here for years, which is why the place was effed up as long as it was, as they're trying to do a rebuild here on the baseball side, which looks like a 5-year thing. I mean, the 49ers and some of these other teams, and even Marvin the first time around, you can bootstrap up something pretty quickly in the league if you have the right personnel and enough powder in the keg with draft picks and whatnot and cap room.
Yeah, I mean, sure. I mean, there's plenty of ways to do it. But I think that, look, they need the team that is coming back to believe in this coach a little bit. I mean, going 0 for 16 is a way to have. You can go get Joe Burrow. And you can go get Joe Burrow and Chase Young, and you can go get the free agents that you want, and everybody can feel happy about that. But the guys coming back are going to look at that coach and say he couldn't solve the puzzle. He couldn't figure out how to get us better. Yeah, maybe our roster was deficient, but by the end of the year, you could see them putting plans together. The guys got better, and they found ways to win a few games, and we were able to do that and build a little bit of momentum towards next year. And I think they feel like there's value in that, and they need that for the coaching staff, for the players' belief in the coaching staff, and that as also a part of what 2020 and 2021 looks like is they do need some momentum on the field at some point. And they have clearly, obviously, are 0 for 9 in that game.
Well, they've been in some games. I mean, the Arizona game, the first game with the Ravens, which is why I was crazy enough to come over to you and indicate
they've been
that
in most games. I mean, they've been in most games.
Well, right, and that's why I thought they would be in the game.
Ravens in San Francisco, and then the Pittsburgh Monday night game. The other 6 they've had leads late in games. They've been in it. Certainly, they've been competitive, but they've had no finish. They haven't had enough players to make plays. And quite frankly, they've squandered away some opportunities. They've been without playmakers, without doubt. I mean, AJ Green not being out there is killer. They are 5-20-1 without AJ Green since he arrived here, and they are 20+ games over 500 when he plays. I mean, that is not a small sample size. That is a completely obvious smack in the face sample size, that you wonder how much of the actual good that happened over the last 8 years, particularly the 5 straight years going to the playoffs, was directly correlated to 18 and almost not much else when you look at numbers like that.
Paul Dehner Jr. covers the Cincinnati Bengals and obviously can put history and put all of it into perspective. He does that as a senior writer and podcast host covering the Bengals, and he does it in Ohio and in Kentucky. I found that out. There is a distinct difference as I enjoy my time in Covington. Paul, you ever walk across that bridge?
You know, it goes up more than people realize.
Dude, it was the most frightening thing I've ever volunteered to do. I had a panic attack halfway through.
It's just kind of more exhausting than you'd think.
No, man. Unless your eyes are closed, maybe. I don't know, man. It weirded me out in a major, major way. All I could think about was like the scene in Saturday Night Fever. Hey, man, I appreciate you coming on and having a sense of humor about what, Hey, the week after they win, I'll text you at least and say, hey, man, they won one. I don't know. I would agree with you. There is a psychological part about letting them have one celebration at some point, right? Like to send them.
You need it.
Yeah, you need to have it. I agree with that. All right, man. Enjoy the rest of the ride and whatever's left of it, man. It's always great having you on.
Will do. Thanks, Nestor. Have a good one. Good luck this year.
You got it, man. Paul Dehner Jr., who, unlike me, I'm selling my bus trip up to New England already. We do have Matt Skur on Tuesday night at Jennings Cafe in Catonsville. Come on out in the Ville. No hate, the 21228. That's Tuesday night. This Tuesday, next Monday night, after the Houston game, we'll have Josh Bynes at Adams Jeep of Aberdeen. We got a lot of stuff going on around here. You can find it all out in the BuyAToyota.com audio vault. I blogged about the marvel of the Marvelous Jackson and the Thriller and my crazy Michael Jackson shirt. All of that's up at WNST.net. Luke's out in Owings Mills. We're getting ready for DeShaun Watson. You'll hear from half of Houston before the week's over with. Got a lot of Baltimore positive stuff going on. Thoreau Vignaraja joining us at Fadley's at Lexington Market at Thursday for a late breakfast brunch crab cake conversation about running for mayor of Baltimore. I am Nestor. We are WNST.net, AM 1570, and WNST Towson, Baltimore. We never stop talking Lamar Jackson because it's fun.